Hey everyone, it's Dorcas and welcome back to my channel. I am currently on an Amtrak, slowly making my way back to New York City from San Francisco. I was here for the San Francisco Pen Show, and the reason why I even decided to go to the Pen Show is because I had been wanting to take a long train ride across the country, and I learned about the California Zephyr train, which apparently is one of the most scenic train rides you can take in the country. And I wanted to take it from San Francisco to New York City and at home, and I needed a reason to go to San Francisco. So I timed it with the pen show so that I can go spend a few days there with my friend, and then I can come home or go home on this Amtrak. The whole ride will take about 70 something hours, and this first leg of the trip goes from San Francisco to Chicago. Now, once there, the Chicago layover will be about 7 hours. And then once I hop on the next train, that'll go from Chicago to New York City. Now, the first leg of the trip will go from Monday till Wednesday afternoon. And then I have a 7 hour layover there in Chicago, and then from there I go to New York City and land at Penn Station on Thursday night. Now, I was able to kind of reserve a sleeper car, not a sleeper car, a roomette. So the sleeper cars have multiple little rooms, and there's the roomette size, and then there's a larger size that fits up to 4 people. So this one is for 2 people, and the seats lay flat to form a bed at night. And then there's an overhead compartment that folds out or comes down to have 2 bunk beds. And I'll show you kind of tour of this tiny little space. Thankfully, I'm here on my own, so I have more space than if I were sharing with someone. And so I'm planning to sleep at the top bunk so that all of my things can stay here in the bottom bunk. There's also, well, as part of the roomette reservation, you get served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I've already had my first fail because I'm super hungry and didn't have breakfast. And they didn't serve breakfast because we left a little too late in the morning. But lunch was to be the next service, and I got lost trying to find the dining area, and so I missed the first round of service for lunch. So now I'm just kind of killing time and waiting until they decide to serve lunch again. It's an hour out, but it should be in a few minutes from now at this point. Um, we also have a shared bathroom and shower. I know the larger rooms have their own, but we will be sharing that for the next few days, and I will see what that situation is like. And so while I have a roomette for this San Francisco to Chicago leg of the trip, because that's the majority of the ride, it's around 50 something hours. For the last part, I will just have a coach seat, so that'll be like 20 hours or so. And I decided, to save some money, I'll just have a coach seat, and it should be fine. But I'll let you know. So while I've been sitting here, I've been organizing my pen show acquisitions and just kind of looking out at the scenery. The we're still kind of we're now just getting some of those nice scenic views in the valleys, but for the first part, it was going through industrial, California as we made our way across the state. But I think now we're pretty far out now. It's been, let's see, about 5 hours that we've already been on the rails. And I know that we're to pass by the Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada, some canyons, Salt Lake City, as we slowly make our way towards Chicago. So I just kind of want to document this experience and bring you along, and we'll see what this trip is like. The train part of the trip did not technically start in San Francisco. Instead, passengers took a connecting bus from downtown San Francisco to Emeryville, California, where we waited in the station for our train to arrive. We were escorted down the platform with those who were staying in the sleeper cars all the way at the front of the train. Once the train arrived, it really hit me that, oh my god, this was actually happening. I was really excited and looking forward to what was coming next. I was shown to my room, which thankfully was on the first floor or the first level of the train car instead of the second one, because it was easy to just bring my suitcase and my bags in and start to get a lay of the land. Now you can see this is my roomette, and there were two seats that fold flat for one bed. There's a second bed at the top, and there was a hook, as well as this little tiny closet to hang your things. And honestly, I totally forgot that existed until I was watching this video again, because I never used it. I had nice big windows to look out from. There's a menu card there. That's a table that folds out, and then there were buttons for the light, to call an attendant. There's even a radio, spotlights, and outlets to charge your things. We made many stops along the way, and some were quick stops for passengers to get on or off, but then we also had some fresh air stops for people to ironically take a smoke break. It took a few hours for us to get out of the California industrial city area, but soon enough we were climbing up the Sierra Nevada mountains, and the landscape really started to blow me away. It took a while for me to pull myself away from the window in my room, but eventually I decided to venture out and see what rooms were where. It took me a bit to find the dining car, so I missed lunch, but while I was waiting for the second round of lunch, I was able to just walk around, press buttons, go through doors, and get a feel for what's around. This is the dining car, where sleeper car passengers were given 3 meals a day. And just past the dining car was the sightseer lounge, where you have this car with windows that go all the way up and over to part of the ceiling, and you can just really take in the views. It was bright and amazing in there, and the seats were super comfy, and I thought that the place would be more packed and then it'd be hard to find a seat, but I never had any issues finding a seat whenever I wanted to just sit in there. It was a really chill space. There was also a little bar area right behind me that was open at times. And you can just sit, read a book, look out the window. It was just a really nice place to be. And from there, I was really able to take in the views, especially as we wound along the Truckee River. The mountains and the river were incredible. I love looking at water, and even better if it's a river. I could stare at rivers all day. It's just something calming about it. And the way that these mountains would just give way to these big vistas was, ah, I loved it so much. We even got to see wild horses. I didn't see a lot of animals out on the road or in the wilderness, but every once in a while you'd pass a farm and see some animals. After spending a good while in the sightseer lounge, I went back to my room and just stared from there. I mean, the views, I had the same vantage point as the sightseeing lounge, even though I was below and that car was above. You did get a slightly better view than I did, but I just like being in my own little space and just comfy with my things in the quiet and just look out for hours on end. And soon enough, those mountain and river views gave way to the desert as we started making our way into Nevada. The evening sky above the desert was just, I mean, look at those colors. It was just breathtakingly beautiful, even though it looks pretty barren. I mean, the mountains in the distance and the moon, it's just incredible. All right, so the time is now about 7:30, and I am super exhausted, but I'm nearing the end of day one on this train ride. I had dinner about a couple hours ago, and in about another hour, I'm gonna get some help to bring the bed down so that I can sleep on the top bunk. We'll see what that experience is gonna be like. Since I nearly passed out this afternoon because I was super exhausted, I don't think I'll have trouble falling asleep, especially with this kind of rocking motion. I'm sure it'll lull me right to sleep. But I mean, the sky is absolutely gorgeous right now. I am passing through the Nevada desert. The sun was setting. I think it's almost all the way down, and there's a half moon in the sky. So it's really beautiful. I'm curious to see if there will be stars that we'll be able to see once it gets fully dark. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think day one was pretty good, quite uneventful. I did manage to get lunch eventually. And then since it's community seating in the dining area, they kind of have you sitting with people that you don't know just so that they can fill up the space. And so I got to sit with these two brothers who were traveling from Florida. So they're on their way to Nebraska, but I got to talk to them about their travels and just what they do. And it was nice, especially since this is a mostly solitary experience. It's nice to connect with someone or people for an hour, just chat over a meal. Same thing at dinner. I sat with these three women who are all retirees and going on a girls' trip, and one's just visiting Chicago. I forgot why, but you know, we had dinner together, and it was lovely. It was really nice. Just just four women just traveling on their own, which was awesome. And for lunch, I had a grilled cheese sandwich with some chips, which is pretty good. And then for dinner, I had pan roasted chicken breast, which was okay, and a salad. And then for dessert, we got a spoon chocolate brownie cake thing, um, which is pretty good. Yeah, so I mean, I'm so tired. I've been awake since 5 a.m. And since we're losing time as we move east, I'm not quite sure how long I've been awake. But like I said, it's past 7:30. Probably in another hour, we'll um, get this bed down. I did get told that we're going to cross a time zone. So we're about to lose an hour once we cross that. And then that should cap out my day. Uh, just 3 more days to go. So here's a look at the sleeping situation. There is a bunk bed up top that gets pulled down through this little latch. So you have two pillows, you also have two blankets. There's a little net up there to keep your belongings. And climbing up, I don't know how older people were managing it because I really had to cram up in there, and thankfully I'm small enough to fit pretty fine. But I am very thankful that I was alone so that I wouldn't have to kind of fumble through this tiny space with somebody else. But once I was able to get tucked in and go back down to turn off that light, I was able to sleep pretty fine. I just wish that I was able to still see the views as the sun was setting and nighttime was coming. And that was a wrap on day one. Now, let's see what the other days bring on. So we are now on day 2 of this cross-country train trip, and I survived the first night up in the cot in the bunk bed, and I did fall asleep pretty easily, I will say. Just the rocking motion just put me right out, and I was super exhausted. Next time around, I'll probably go to sleep a little later because quiet hours start at 9 p.m. And since I went to bed around 8:30, they were still making announcements, and the speaker is right by your head when you're upstairs. So I'll probably go to sleep a little closer to 9 this time around. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's a really small space. It's probably the width of this. Um, and but I'm really tiny, so um, I didn't feel like I was cramped up there. But I got up once to go to the bathroom. Sorry, the sun is like super bright because it's, what time is it? It's 9:15, and there. Hopefully that's a little better. Um, so I got up to pee once, and I am very glad that I just happened to wake up when we were stopped at Salt Lake City for an hour or so. I don't know. I went right back to bed after, but I was glad we were stopped because I can't imagine having to like crawl out from up there on this little, it's kind of like the armrest for that seat, and waddle my way over to the bathroom while half asleep. Sounds a little treacherous, especially because I'm short, so I can't like fully reach the armrest, but it was fine. It was totally fine. I climbed back up and knocked right out again until about 6 something a.m. Yeah, and then after that, I went to breakfast, which was actually really good. I mean, breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I could have that 3 times a day if I could. And then I, sat with some more randos, had some really good conversations, and yeah, just got ready for the day. And now just wondering what to do for the remainder of my time today since it's just wide open. I did bring my watercolors, my sketchbooks, so I might do some of that. Definitely want to go up to the observation deck today because we are set to pass through the Rocky Mountains for the majority of our time. We are still kind of exiting Utah and we'll be going through Colorado next. If we haven't already, I'd have to check the map. But yeah, just kind of looking forward to taking the time to reflect and write and just chill, just be in the quiet, which is which was the purpose of this trip, right? I've been getting some work texts, and I'm just like, nope, this is my time away to recharge before the school year starts up again next week, and yeah, so I'm gonna relish this moment. Um, It's gorgeous out there. I mean, the sunrise was spectacular, as was the sunset last night. It was just, we're passing along this kind of creek or river, and I mean, just the views are incredible, even though it's just desert and rock. Um, I've been to Utah before, and I was also just blown away by, the red rock, just those rich colors, even though it just seems like bland scenery. it's still it's still really pretty, and just I'm always in awe at how much land we have. I mean, also kind of greedy we were back then, but um, yeah, just wanted to take some time to appreciate the landscape. I spent some time that morning writing off postcards that I probably should have sent while I was still in San Francisco, but I decided let me just write them now and I'll send them out when I get back home. The only thing is that the rocking motion of the train made it difficult to have a neat handwriting. So journaling and writing was a little difficult because I had to really focus, but it was still nice to, reflect on the San Francisco pen show and, write home to friends. So we are arriving in Grand Junction in Colorado, and they just told us that we can hop out, stretch our legs, be there for 10-15 minutes. There's also a mom and pop shop so that we can go in and buy some snacks or other little necessities, so I'm going to do that and see what they got. I was definitely taking advantage of this longer break at Grand Junction and just curious to see what this town looked like, even if it was just from the Amtrak station. So I looked around and then found the entrance to the deli and grabbed some snacks and then made my way back to my roomette. So what did I get in my little snack stop in Grand Junction, Colorado? Well, I got some Cheez-Its. I got some Doritos. I got some gummy bears, M&Ms, and a banana because balance. And that cost $9.96. While the train made its way along the Colorado River, I split my time between just looking out the window and admiring the view and doing some catching up on my journaling. I printed out a bunch of pictures from my trip so far, or just day one, and started printing them out in my mini Kodak printer and cut them up so that I can start laying out the pages in my journal and start to write about the experience and the adventure as it was unfolding. I know myself, and if I let too many days go on during a trip and I don't keep up with journaling while I'm on the trip, it's just gonna take even longer for me to catch up and remember things. Um, Thankfully, I have videos, so I can go back and try and remember what happened. But since I had the time, I figured I'd get a little ahead of it. Here I am taping in my dinner reservation, even though we are given 3 meals a day. If you reserved a roomette, you had to reserve a time slot for your dinner so that they have enough space to serve everyone. You can choose from 3 different time slots at 5, at 6, and at 7 p.m. Like I said, I love looking at rivers. I can stare at them. There's just something about them that is like meditating to me, just watching the water flow by. And the Colorado was just beautiful because it's, against the red mountains or the red rocks. You had a highway on the other side, and yeah, I just like to make up stories of, where are those people going? I also found myself wondering, where do they go when they need just basic necessities? Where are their shopping marts and their grocery stores? It just might be tucked behind that mountain, but just things you wonder when you have all the time in the world. Oh, so that's where they go. We stopped in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, where passengers were warned that smoking was not allowed in that downtown area between the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. At dinner time, a local resident later told me that it's because of the wildfires that had been happening there. And the train slowly made its way up into the Rocky Mountains, still following the Colorado River. The Sightseer Lounge was the best place to catch in all of these views. Even if my camera couldn't do that red rock justice, I still found myself just taking video after video, just wanting to capture it all. All right, so it's about 2 p.m. on day 2, Tuesday, and I've already had lunch and spent most of my time in the observation area. I forgot what the sightseeing car. We're going through the Rocky Mountains, and the train has kind of been following the path of the Colorado River, which has been really scenic and beautiful. We've seen some people rafting and canoeing. Oh, there's some people canoeing right now, or kayaking. And then someone's fly fishing. There's quite a few people who are fly fishing. We've also seen people fishing off a boat. Those people were wading in the river. And I mean, it's just beautiful. The rocks, like, is red. We're curving right now, so I'm seeing the front of the train up ahead. And yeah, just I lost service about an hour or so ago, so I've been reading things on my laptop that I'd already had opened from earlier, and just kind of taking in the views. I had some more conversations during lunch, and just enjoying my time trying to figure out what to do next. The day goes by really slowly when you have no real place to be or thing to do. And yeah, it's felt like a luxury. A lot of the people that I've spoken to during meal times, this has been a bucket list item for a long time. And then they look at me, and then they're mostly retirees, and they look at me like, oh, you're so young to be doing this and on my own. But just feeling really grateful that I kind of just went for it instead of waiting any longer, and just doing it now uh, while I can. So yeah, I'm just taking it a moment at a time and see what comes next, or what. I know Denver is our next stop. We've had some smaller little town stops along the way, but Denver is the next one, which is called the Mile High City, because exactly a mile above sea level. So we'll see what that's like. That might be a slightly longer stop. So maybe I'll pop out. I haven't popped out since, you know, a few stops ago. But yeah, we'll see. It looks beautiful out there. And maybe it's nice that I don't have service to force myself to just be present instead of being on my computer or on my phone. Um, but I have been taking lots of video, so I am on my phone. So, so yeah. Mm. When I first got onto the train, I was kind of surprised to learn that there was no Wi Fi available. For some reason, I thought that there would be. And I had my own hotspot, which I used to watch YouTube and all that, but I didn't have a Netflix account on my laptop. But honestly, who needs movies when you have views like these? By this point, we were really climbing up. We were making our way toward Denver, and not only was the scenery changing, but the weather was too. Now, for the most part, the temperature and the weather was pretty fair and sunny and warm, but once we started making our way higher up into the Rockies, we started to see rain and clouds and a little bit of a wetter weather. The train was slowly making its way toward Moffat Tunnel, which is a 6.2-mile railroad and water tunnel that cuts through the Continental Divide in the Rocky Mountains. It was gonna take us 10 minutes to get through this tunnel, and I feel like maybe some people might get completely claustrophobic or panicky, but I was really excited. The train conductor issued a warning that we were to stay put in our cars while the train was passing through the tunnel.
It'll take about 10 minutes to get through here, and then once we get through here, you can move about the train. But right now, please just remain in the car, in the seat that you are in at this time. Thank you.
Our dinner options were pretty good, I have to say. We had a 3-course menu, you had a choice of appetizer, our main course, which in this case was a pasta primavera for me, and then you also had dessert, so not bad. During dinner on day 2, we learned that this freight train that you see in the distance was waiting for the Amtrak to slowly make its way down the mountain. Because there is a shared single train track, they cannot go up until we come down. And so they're waiting on a side track until the Amtrak makes its way down and then they can proceed up. I also learned that a long time ago, winds coming in from the mountains toppled the train over, and so these hopper cars were filled with rocks to block that wind when the train was moving up or down the mountain. And they've since been overgrown with plants and grass and shrubbery. And eventually, we made our way into Denver, Colorado.
Ladies and gentlemen, final safety announcement. Safety panels are going to be located at the seat back pockets or the seat in front of you. If you guys are riding in our sleeper car accommodations, the safety pamphlets are going to be by the window sills. Folks, just making our way through the freight yards here of Denver. Train's gonna stop here momentarily. We're gonna get out, throw a few switches. It's basically a device that allows us to change tracks, and most of them are electric, but ones in the yard are pretty much all still done by hand.
The rest of day 2 was pretty uneventful as we made our way through the rest of Colorado, and then overnight we were to pass through most, if not all, of Nebraska. It's pretty hard not to get an early start to the day, especially when I'm so eager to get back to this window. Good morning. It's now Wednesday morning at, let's see, it's almost 8 o'clock. I got up not too long ago, just about to get started on my day. It is the final day that I'll be in the sleeper car. This afternoon, I'll arrive in Chicago, and then there's a 7-hour layover. I'll get off of this train, which is the California Zephyr, and go into the next train. I forgot the name of that train, but that's the one that'll take me to New York City. Now, to cut back on costs, because this was not, this was a pretty expensive ride. I am going to be on a coach seat for those last 20 hours. The majority of which I will be hopefully sleeping on the seat since we leave at 9:30 p.m. tonight, and then I'll get to New York City Thursday evening. I slept much better last night. I slept pretty fine the first night, but last night I feel I knocked out really quickly, and I think I got a solid, like I was knocked out for a solid 8 hours. So that was nice. The mattress, I guess I got used to the mattress. And again, the rocking motion just it works every time for me. Uh, so I am going to get dressed, get ready for the day. I will give you a look at the shower situation because I don't think I did that before. Show you what the bathroom and what the shower looks like. I'll get ready for lunch. We are having an early lunch today because the train does get in around 2:30. So yeah, and then just kind of relish these last few hours in this train. It's been an amazing experience. Um, Anybody else I feel would go stir crazy in this little cabin, but I feel like for one person, me, it's been absolutely perfect. So I don't know if other people who are larger or taller or sharing the space would feel as comfortable. And from what I've heard from other couples during meal times, it's a bit of a squeeze. So, some people there's a larger room option, but it's just me, and this was totally fine for me. So, so yeah. So let's see what I get onto for the rest of the day, and then once we're in Chicago, I'm planning to go around, see some things, pop into a couple places, and I still need to figure out how I'm gonna spend those 7 hours, but um, I'm sure it'll be fun. Here is another look at my bed upstairs. As you can see, there is these straps to keep you from falling, though I never found myself pressing up against it, so I was pretty fine. You can see there's the speakers up there in the ceiling, really close to my head. And then downstairs, you can see that I had my suitcase on one of the seats. I would sit on the other one across from it, and that mattress, you can see how thin it is. That mattress is what would be laid over those two bottom seats when they're laid out flat to create a second bed. Now, just down the hall from my roommate are the bathrooms and the showers. Now, I have to say the bathrooms were always kept pretty clean. There was always toilet paper, there was always soap, the water was great. I can't complain on this shared bathroom situation because, well, one, I never found myself needing to wait for the bathroom either. This is the shower, and there's a little shower stall there. There were towels that you could use. Since this was on the final day, I have to say that it was probably more untidy than usual, but once you use your towels, you can put those in the red laundry bag down there. And then you open this door to use the shower, and you just pop in. And it took me a bit to understand how the shower worked, the little faucet thing, but once you get it going, I have to say the water gets piping hot. So just be mindful of that. The water does get hot. I thought that maybe I'd have lukewarm at best, but it did get pretty hot. There's also soap available to use. And at the end of the sleeper car that I was on, there was an open, larger room. So I was nosy and I popped in just so that I can give y'all a look of what those look like. They have their own bathroom, so they don't have to share with the rest of us plebeians. But this is what it looks like. It's a larger space. It's also more expensive. But if you're traveling with a larger family, I know that these can fit up to 4 people. As we made our way across Illinois and toward Chicago, I do have to say the views got a little less grand. We passed by trailer or RV parks or campsites, as well as industrial areas and towns along the railroad tracks. And I came up with a new tagline for this state: Iowa, it's just mad corn. Alright, so I am now showered, I am dressed, I am ready for the day. I think I'm going to do some reading while I wait for lunch to be served in a couple hours. Uh, right now we're in Iowa, and we just stopped. I think it was Ottawa, Iowa. It's just been interesting to see the landscape change as we've gone through, California, Nevada, and Colorado, Utah, all those states. Um, So I'm going to do some reading. I'm going to continue doing editing my San Francisco video. I spent most of yesterday working on that, so I kind of want to get that up as soon as I arrive. And yeah, basically, probably research what I should be doing in Chicago. The forecast looks like it's going to be rainy, so hopefully that holds out. But yeah, just continuing to enjoy this. I mean, at this point, I could probably just spend another week on the train. It's been lovely, like I've said before, and yeah, just kind of pass the time away. I thought it completely fitting to read The Traveler's Times by the Traveler's Company while I was traveling. There's some good articles in there.
Good afternoon, folks. Once again, this is DJ, your sleeper attendant. Just wanted to call and check in. I've been putting up a couple beds now. However, if you would still like your bed up and it has not been put up yet, all I ask is that you just open your curtain or open your door, one or the other, and I'll be by and I'll assist you when I can. Thank you so much.
After doing some video editing, I went back to my book to read and eat some snacks before lunchtime. For my final meal on this train, I went with the patty melt, which I'd heard great things about. It was actually pretty good. While having lunch and good conversations with my table mates, we crossed the Mississippi River from Iowa into Illinois. The woman sitting next to me was visiting from Australia and makes a point to explore a different part of the US every time she visits family. It was fun to show her the path the Mississippi takes on its way to the Gulf of Mexico, and she shared things about her own travels with us. It reminded me of the point of traveling, which is to build bridges by connecting with others. Okay, does anybody else geek out when they see wind turbines? I'm always just so amazed at how big they are. I took the last few hours of being on this train to just snoop around and see the spaces that I hadn't yet explored. Like this snack area that was open for people to come and get food and sandwiches, other beverages. Since my meals were provided, I didn't really go here, but I wanted to see what it looked like. And I also discovered that Illinois also has cornfields as far as the eye can see. After having my fill of cornfields, I went into the coach cars to see what was waiting for me when I transferred trains. And these look pretty comfortable. The seats recline, it was pretty chill and quiet. People had their own space. It wasn't a full train, it didn't seem, but again, maybe it was fuller earlier on in the route. But I was feeling pretty good about what was to come. So we're about 20 minutes out from arriving in Chicago, and that will be the end of our ride on the California Zephyr. I have a 7 hour layover in Chicago. I'm going to try and hit up a few spots while I'm there and then just kind of get something to eat. The next train, like I mentioned before, it's in a coach car, so I won't have, my little private oasis for that leg of the trip. So I don't know how much filming I'll be able to do while I'm there. Either way, I mean, from 9:30 p.m. till 9 a.m. the next morning, it'll be me dozing off, trying to sleep, and then I get home tomorrow evening. So I'll take you around Chicago, show you a few things. Hopefully the rain, it hasn't started or it's not currently raining, so hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, this might be the last time that I'll be addressing you like this. There might be some voiceover later on, but I just wanted to get on here and, hopefully you enjoyed the ride, seeing the scenery, as we've approached Chicago, the scenery has gotten a lot more industrial and not as scenic, but this is part of America. So yeah, so we'll see what I get up to in Chicago and talk to you soon. As soon as we arrived at Union Station, I dropped off my 70 pounds of bags to be stored so that I could explore Chicago a little lighter. I still had a heavy backpack, which I totally should have also stored in the station, but it was still nice not to drag around my suitcase while I explored the city. Even though I'd just come from a pen show, there was really only one place that I wanted to hit up in Chicago, and that was Atlas Stationers, a well-known stationery store that I'd never been to but I'd heard great things about. And I'll give you a tour and more on that visit in another video. After Atlas Stationers, I went to Millennium Park to just see the sights. I know it's kind of a touristy area, but I have very little on my agenda. So I figured let me try and take in the sights before the rain started up. Can you see the bean in this shot? I lucked out for most of the afternoon with gloomy but still dry weather, but as I was finishing out my visit at Millennium Park, that's when it started to drizzle. And of course, I decided to bring the world's jankiest umbrella to the Windy City. So after I walked around Millennium Park for a while, I decided to make my way back to Union Station. I did not look out with the places that I wanted to go eat at, so I ended up just grabbing some Sbarro pizza at Union Station, which I'm sorry, but I just needed some food, and so I got that. Found a bench to sit at and waited there for a couple hours for my train to arrive. I had my things with me again, and I just sat there and spent the time away listening to music over their speakers. At 9:30, I hopped aboard the next train, which is the Lakeshore Limited, and settled in for what was going to be a long, long night. After the views you get to see while on the California Zephyr, passing through Indiana, Ohio, and the northern tip of Pennsylvania can feel a little womp womp. But I still just sat back and enjoyed the view, as foggy and gloomy and kind of bland as it was. We were definitely approaching the Northeast. So we are at a fresh air stop in Syracuse, New York. So I'm not far from home. If I look crusty, it's because I feel crusty because I barely got any sleep last night. I had a coach seat to save on the cost of this trip, and it was not cool. It was not fun. It was not comfortable. I barely got any sleep. I got on at 9:30 p.m. in Chicago, and I just I just spent the whole night trying to get comfortable. Um, there were some altercations in our car. This lady just hit up that bar as soon as she got into the train, and I don't know if they dumped her at some, you know, no place, uh, middle of nowhere in the night. I just know that she was escorted out of our car, um, and then there was some dude who was sitting in front of me who also got into it with the, car attendant. So yeah, it was a really eventful night. Not something that I was really wanting after 3 days of peace, but there we are. This part of the adventure is part of the story, uh, and yeah, so yesterday I could have easily spent another week on the train, but I realized that I would have spent another week on the sleeper car, not just on the train. Definitely feeling like I'm ready to go home. Uh, but just riding it out, literally. So yeah, I've been spending the day chilling in my seat, trying to stay comfortable. and watching YouTube videos, maybe do a little more reading later, but I should be getting in around 7 something at New York City Penn Station. So yeah, so right now, like I said, I'm in Syracuse. This is where my alma mater is located, Syracuse University. Go Orange. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna head back into the car because I'm always anxious that somehow they'll close the doors and leave me behind. All my stuff is still in there. So I will talk to you soon. Bye. To compare my experience in the sleeper car versus this coach seat, well, let's just say I felt like I was on a wooden roller coaster. But we were getting closer and closer. After passing through downtown Albany and crossing over to the east side of the Hudson River, the Amtrak made a pretty long stop at Rensselaer, New York. There we were able to hang out at the station, get a bite to eat. There was a deli, there was a post office, and so we were able to just walk around, stretch our legs, and just get a little break. Unfortunately, while we were there was one passenger who was just downing IPAs and took one on a to-go cup and then made the rest of our ride an interesting one. And once we started following the Hudson River all the way south, it was pretty familiar territory. The Amtrak shares the same track as New York's Metro North train, and so I visited the Hudson Valley loads of times, and these are still some of my favorite views from a train. Especially at sunset, the views of the Hudson River looking out west is just so beautiful and such a perfect way to end out this trip. It started with amazing views and it's ending with some gorgeous sunset views as well. And so I took these last few hours of my Amtrak ride to really reflect on just how lucky I was to go for this trip, to experience this amazing journey with its ups and downs, and just really relish in the ride. I was sleep deprived at this point, I'm not gonna lie, but just happy to have traveled across the country in this way, to have connected with the people that I did, and to be finally heading home after 4 days of traveling. I have to say that traveling by train is such a luxury, not only because it's more expensive than catching a flight, but it's also a luxury of time. Not everyone has the time to just go the slow way, but After going through this experience, I am looking forward to just going the slow way in future travels. Instead of rushing to get to the destination, I feel that traveling by train makes the journey just as important as arriving at the destination itself. This has been a trip that I hope I never forget.